Welcome to Shawn and Carter Have a Podcast. My name is Shawn.
And I'm Carter.
And we are attracting larger and more important figures to our podcast every week, it would seem.
Every week. All of you are important. But we got someone who has who I think we have a lot of respect for.
Totally.
And we talked about him last week, and apparently he heard it. And he left a little comment saying,
did one of you guys out there send our podcast to CGP Grey, or did he just stumble upon it himself? Because it wasn't me.
He wasn't in the. Yeah, he wasn't in the what you call it, the tags. So
I don't know, but I linked him in the info because we mentioned him. Yeah, it was kind of surreal and bizarre, and I showed my wife the comment, and she was like, out of all the people that you follow, like the Vlogbrothers and Wheezy Waiter, he makes the videos that I like the most. So apparently that made my wife feel like my work was legitimate. I don't know.
Thank you, Gray, for legitimizing Sean's work for his wife.
Oh, things that you do are matter to other people? That's cool.
I forwarded it to my best friend who loves. I think he might have sent me the original UK Explained video way back in the day, and he just totally geeked out as well.
And then he asked if he could be on the podcast. Moment. So thanks, Gray.
It was. We're going to mention him again later in the podcast when we do Captain Science Time / Random Question Time. It's going to be a combined thing this week.
We would come up with like good segment names, but no.
I think we have good segments, but all of the names are wrong.
I feel a little bit like CNN, like we're just making up segments as they come.
Yeah, well, I mean, until today, so for the past 33 podcasts, because we didn't have follow-up in the first one, obviously, I've called the top of the show follow-up when we just throw everything in there. It's like, well, I should probably stop calling that
We can talk about this for 5 minutes and this for 3 minutes, and we never mentioned this before, but it's follow-up because we're only going to talk about it for 2 minutes.
So I've changed the top of the show. It's called Shorter Topics. If people want to rename parts of the show, I'm happy to take those names. Captain Science is just some silly thing that Sean said, and it's stuck.
I can't believe that I came up with that. I'm sure I stole it from something else.
Probably. So, Shorter Topics. There was a great XKCD this week. It'll be linked in the show notes.
This week, XKCD is so important, it comes to you unsolicited by a comment that I've made.
Yeah, exactly. It's well, first of all, Sean, I didn't know this because I don't have a 1080p monitor. The XKCD large version is so big that you can't even see all of it.
No, it's only about half of it top to bottom, and then I can probably see about 2/3 of it side to side, but it is enormous.
It's an enormous I will call this an infographic, and this is what I think what an infographic really is. Everyone calls things with like graphic design and text and maybe a chart an infographic, but I think that this is more true to what the word infographic means.
Mm-hmm.
It's an infographic of ocean and lake depths with interesting facts. It's to scale vertically, and he's got some lines in there for like where the where like a typhoon sub can descend to.
Yeah, or like how deep a sperm whale will dive.
Right, and one of the ones that I thought was really cool is there's a line in there for how the depth where the pressure is so intense that if you shot a bullet at a scuba tank, air wouldn't rush out, water would rush in.
Oh, that's so cool.
And this is follow-up. I will tie it back. Ron had a little bit of a throwaway line about exploration in this past Earhart.
Yes.
And he was talking about it's so cool space because all of the Earth has been explored already. And I would say au contraire. Most of the Earth is unexplored because it is under the water.
You got to think like James Cameron.
Exactly. Or Jeff Bezos of Amazon, I don't know if he was a founder, but he's the current CEO. He has found in the ocean on his own, he has found one of the Apollo rockets, and he is going to surface it
Awesome.
and give it to NASA. Right? So cool. I was a really geeky kid when I was a kid, and one of the shows that I liked, which in retrospect was not an awesome show, but it was pretty cool, was Sequest DSV. Did you ever watch that?
No. What? I've never even heard of that.
It takes place sort of in the near future, and there is a burgeoning culture under the ocean. Like humans now have like it's sort of like a space show, but it's set in the ocean. And instead of spaceships, it's like these really cool submarines.
Okay.
Instead of space stations, it's like these underwater habitats. And Roy Scheider gets recruited by this, United Earth Oceans quasi-government thing to run the biggest, baddest, most awesome exploration and anti-piracy submarine called the Sequest, and it can like go deeper than any sub, and it's like got lasers and whatever. Was really cool. And then at the end of every episode, no, it was on NBC.
Okay, at first when you started talking about it, I was assuming it was for kids, and then the deeper you got, I was like, wait.
No, there was like politics and sex and whatever. It was not for kids. It was only on for 2.5 years or something. And also, one of the stars was Jonathan Brandis, who unfortunately committed suicide. He was one of those teen actors in the 90s who had a tragic end to his life. I gotta move on from this anyway. It was
Where are you going with this? You're going down the Kola borehole that the Soviets drilled. I'm still staring at this graphic.
Yes. Long story short, or to finish my story, and not the Sequest part, the ocean is largely unexplored and is pretty awesome.
Yeah, agreed. And if you haven't seen, speaking of James Cameron, ignore Titanic, whatever. If you haven't seen The Abyss, that will make you will know for sure that we have no idea what's down there. That's a good movie.
And it's just a freaking cool movie. I love one of the concepts in that, to get deeper the
breathing liquid thing.
Yeah, they breathe water and they fill up the suits with water. That's so cool.
It's some kind of oxygenated liquid that you fill your lungs with it so that your lungs don't collapse because now they're filled with liquid.
Yes, and then you can go deeper. Super cool. All right. Tim Cook.
What's Tim Cook up to?
He was spotted by like TMZ or something. I don't know.
There's like some paparazzi.
He was spotted at Valve.
Wait, the Half-Life Valve?
The Half-Life Valve, the Portal Valve. Steam.
Gabe Newell Valve? This doesn't make
Team Fortress. Yeah, I think that he was probably playing Half-Life 3 with Gabe.
Ah. He gets to play it before everyone else. It's not fair.
So no one knows why he was there. Speculation is just going to go wild on this one because...
Right, let's join in.
Yes, let's shall we, Sean? And I'll tell you why the Mac community is going to speculate a lot about it. The iPad 3 is already out. WWDC is kind of off in the distance. We don't know when the iPhone 5 is going to come out or whatever they're going to call it. So we're kind of dry in the rumor area. Ooh, let's talk about Valve and Apple. So what do you think he was doing there?
I don't know. I mean, Steam came to Mac how long ago? Like a year or more? Maybe 2 years ago, and it was a really big deal. And I've installed it on Alicia's computer, and it's kind of sad how few games are supported. But maybe that's what the meeting was about. Maybe Mac wants to renew their interest in the gaming community.
Could be. We are going to be getting a new version of the OS. We're going to get Mountain Lion. Maybe they included a whole bunch of new APIs that will make it easier to port Windows games over to the Mac. And they're letting Valve know about it right now so they can get, some of
They've already done it with Sony and PlayStation and put Steam on the PlayStation 3.
I would be excited about that. Maybe they're gonna buy Valve.
They got cash, man.
They got cash.
They got enough
I mean, I
cash
don't
to
know
be
how much.
throwing back at their investors. They can start buying companies.
Oh yeah, they buy companies all the time. It is a awfully kept secret that Apple has been buying up map and geolocation related companies so that they can eventually have their own
I wonder who
mapping.
they're trying to compete with.
Right. Something I learned the other day because I'm never on Facebook on my phone. Facebook, if you go there through like a mobile phone, not an app, and you do a search, they use Bing search,
I didn't
not
know that
Google.
either.
Yeah.
I've been off Facebook for a very long time.
I had to turn it back on, and now people are like friending me, and it's everything that I want. An aunt sent me a message. Everything that I was worried about has already started happening. Like, and now my aunt is gonna be like, "I sent this message to Carter, and he never responded to me." And I'll be like, "That's because I forgot, and I never check it." And then my dad's gonna call me, and
She's
my
waiting
grandmother's
for
gonna be upset.
for you to send over some sheep for her Farmville account.
Yeah, I didn't click on the cow enough, or whatever that cow clicking game is. Did you ever know about that? Hear about that?
No, I did not.
Okay, we don't need to talk about it, but it was sort of a postmodern Facebook game. All you do is click on a cow, and then you get you get a coin, and that's all you do.
I played this fantastic game. I'll link it later. That is called, I think it's called Run to the Right or something. That it tells you to run to the right, and then you run to the right, and then you enter a room, and there's a bad guy, and it says burn the rope. And you have to climb to the top of the room, and you burn the rope, and then a thing falls on the bad guy, and then you win. It takes about 2 minutes, and then there is a 4-minute repeating credit song about you beating the game.
I think it's called Burn It with the Candle. I think the game is called that too.
Okay.
I played it.
It's
well.
yeah, it's burn something. Burn it with fire.
Burn it with fire. Kill it with fire. Yeah, that's awesome.
Pretty funny game.
Yep. AMC has a deal, which you probably won't be able to get in on, for the Avengers. Remember when we watched all those movies, Sean?
Yeah, we did our whole
prepare for the
Shawn and
Avengers?
Carter specialized movie marathon. They took our idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we did it over 5 weeks. We watched all of the Avengers movies.
You know, the sensible, sane way.
Yes, if you're not sensible and insane, Wednesday morning or Wednesday at 11:30 at several AMC locations around the country, if you pay
Many
$40,
of which are already
you can
sold
show
out.
up. I think they're almost all of them are sold out. Pay $40 and you can watch. They will play all 5 of the movies and end at midnight and then show the Avengers.
In 3D.
Is the Avengers in 3D?
Yeah, it is.
I'm not going to see it in 3D.
I will avoid it if I can.
3D just looks dim to me, and
Yeah, they're ending.
I'm getting
it,
off.
Yeah, they're ending it with Captain America in 3D and then the Avengers in 3D.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
For your $40
But
admission, you get to
it's-
keep your 3D Real D glasses. They're like commemorative items.
Well, there's a reason. Although I've stolen 3D glasses, so
Gasp!
don't gasp. Everybody knows that Hank Green stole 3D glasses to come up with his 3D glasses idea.
And what
No
a
one
good
was
idea
upset.
it was.
Right. All right, and I just wanted to say that Elaine and Ron, you guys are awesome. I love your response.
Yeah, thanks for
doing it.
doing that
I love
every
them.
week. It's very entertaining to hear our podcast
I also want-
reflected at us.
I also want to thank Sean for doing his little short vlog responses, because if we responded to every one of those things on the podcast, I will reference Sequest DSV for like how these conversations just go off the rails and take forever. Okay, one last shorter topic, and it's also Apple related.
I can't
Apple
believe
had-
people
Apple-
haven't flocked to you to consult on this. This seems like
I
a
know.
SCHP question.
right? And all of the Windows and Linux fans out there, I think I'm surprised that they're not all going ha 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 you and your
Drawing
precious
attack.
Mac, you think it's so secure and you got screwed. So not last week, but last week was when a lot of the coverage came out. But recently, a bit of malware has infected a huge amount of Macs.
A record-setting amount?
It's called probably, certainly by number. There has not been a malware epidemic in the modern era of the Mac bigger than this. Maybe back in the days of floppy drives. Because back then they were much worse because
it wasn't
you
malware,
would just have,
it was a virus.
They were real viruses, and they would just be hidden on any floppy disk, and they'd be like written to like boot sector or something. And all you'd have to do is put it in your computer. It wouldn't even have to read any of the data on the disk. It would immediately start loading up. Well, obviously it has to read data, but it would immediately start loading up that virus, and it would just like, and those viruses were like very malicious. They were like, kill your computer. Just done. You're done. Your computer's dead. Flashback doesn't do that. It snoops on you. It tries to gather.
It tries to actually
information
accomplish something.
Right. It's not just mean like viruses were back in the 80s and the 90s. It has infected, it is speculated, somewhere close to 700,000 Macs. Now, there are 60 or 70 million Macs out there. That's 1% of the entire Mac installed base got this malware.
So the word epidemic seems applicable.
Yeah, definitely. 1% of the global population would be 60 million people.
Yeah.
That's if 60 million people. No, 60 million.
Okay.
Because there are 6 billion.
Right, zeros.
Right, there are 6,000 million
Got
people.
It.
I think we'd be pretty concerned about that. If H1N1 infected 60 million people, I'm pretty sure we would call that a pandemic.
They'd call it a pandemic way before that, just to get us all excited. They have.
If we call it a pandemic, they have. They've done it, kids. They did it in 2009. The biggest Windows outbreaks have been somewhere like in the 0.5 to 0.7% of the Windows installed base. So this might be the largest, as a percent of an installed base of an operating system, this may be the largest outbreak of malware in the modern era of computers.
Wow.
Pretty bad. Something worse? It's Apple's fault.
Because they didn't patch.
Oracle, or I'm not exactly sure the history on this. I think it's Oracle, pushed an update to Java in February, which would have if a Mac had that update, it would have prevented the spread of this malware. Apple didn't push their version of that patch until April 3rd.
Was that when it was already in the public eye yet, or had it not yet started?
Apple pushed their update on the 3rd. Flashback came into the broader news on the 4th.
Okay.
It was basically the same time.
So someone, at least a couple people at Apple, knew that this was already happening, probably.
As they were pushing it out, I'm sure that they were getting reports of this. And they're like, oh boy.
We have a problem.
And then they really publicized, like, hey, you really need to get this update, everybody. This is Apple at their worst. They are very bad about pushing third-party updates to the OS. It takes them forever, especially security-related stuff. Yeah. They got to get better at that, or they got to stop using those things. I would argue for stop using Java. Don't let there be Java on computers. If someone wants Java, they got to get it on their own.
And then
just don't even.
And then the program would maintain its own updates.
Yep, it's like, and then you take on the risk of updating Java on your own. If you want it, good for you. You need to take care of the security aspect of it. We, Apple, we are not going to get our hands involved in that. We are fussy about updates, and it takes us a long time to push it through our pipeline. We're just not going to do that anymore. We're only going to have our stuff. Our stuff is bulletproof until, whatever, until it's not.
Until it's not.
Nobody's a traitor until they are. And there we go. That would be, so if anyone at Apple is listening, please don't include.
That's your corporate strategy?
Yes, don't include Java in Mountain Lion. I don't think Java was included in Lion, or I think you had to go through an extra step to get it. But I would say just no Java. Get it, kill it with fire. Get it off this operating system. We all want it.
Were you affected by it at all?
I was not. I checked immediately through the hacky way that you had to do. There's now websites where you can just go on, push a button, and it says if you're infected or not. But I checked immediately.
Apple released their own removal tool, right?
No,
or
I don't think so.
They released guidance for it, didn't they?
They might have done that. There is some Russian security firm that has sort of been leading the way on how to get rid of it, and I'll check. I don't think Apple has released anything automatic, just download this, it'll get rid of Flashback. They might have linked to instructions. Maybe they have instructions on their website. I don't know. I'm talking out of my butt.
The last bad computer virus that I had, I was lucky enough to, I don't remember which one it was, but I was lucky enough that I just went to the Symantec website and it was here's a removal tool, reboot in safe mode, run this, run your virus checker, make sure it's gone. That's it. And I did that and it worked. And that's the last time I've had to deal with one. I
haven't had a really bad malware attack or virus since I was very young. But my boss did in 2010. Do you remember XP Security and all of its related?
No.
No. This was a bad one. This came out in 2010, maybe late 2009, 2010. It was a pop-up window thing that looked like a Windows security alert. Your computer could be infected. Make sure that all your firewalls are up and everything, and you'd click anywhere on there and it would start doing stuff, and it would download it would download a program that was spying on you, and it put itself all over the system. That it was in all of your directory files and DLLs, and it infected everything, so that you basically couldn't get rid of it without ripping out whole parts of the DLL files, just destroying them and destroying your computer if you wanted to get rid of it. It would snoop on you. It would constantly annoy you and try to get you to purchase something that didn't exist, get this update to help your security. And it would actively stop any malware removal tools from working on your computer. If you tried to open them, it would crash the computer, or if it could, it would stop that program from opening. It was hell.
Malicious, extremely.
Extremely malicious. My boss got it. He had to get a new computer, basically, or he had to get a new
hard drive.
They just had to wipe the whole thing.
Wow,
it's pretty bad.
I remember the worst symptom of mine was simply that pop-up windows in internet browsers would open all the time, and at that time I was using Firefox, and it was only opening Internet Explorer windows, which is how I figured out that this is not just the website I'm visiting. My computer is actively trying to destroy itself.
Yes, we put a lot of faith in computers, and then evil people in the world attack us.
Jerks.
It's not nice. They are jerks. All right.
Random questions?
Well, we've got two. One of them, first one is Captain Science Time. This one came in minutes before the podcast, so I had to prepare very quickly.
I saw it pop up on my phone. I was wondering if we would get to it or not, but you found time.
Mm-hmm. I found the time. Ron, specifically his son Matt, hello Matt, wants to know, when did they invent our calendar?
Because Matt wants to see if you can explain this in less than the course of an entire college class.
Did you take a class on the calendar?
I no, but I opened the wiki page on it, and I'm only on one type of calendar page, and this looks insane.
So calendars are endlessly fascinating and also a very complex topic. So I will try and boil down. First of all, I'll answer his question right away. The calendar that we use is the Gregorian calendar. It was invented by Christopher Clavius, and it was issued by Pope Gregory.
The 13th,
through
if
a papal
anyone's
bull.
counting.
Through a papal bull. Everyone must use this calendar now on February 24th, 1582. That is when the modern calendar was invented, or that's like its patent date, if you will.
Now, see, the thing that always bugged me about something like this is the number 1582. Like, before 1582, if it was a different calendar, then how do we know that that was actually 1582?
Well, we know that it was 1582, but it might not have been February 24th.
Ugh.
It probably, in fact, it wasn't February 24th.
There's no way it was.
No, because before the use of the Gregorian calendar in Western Europe, and I'm going to pull back now. If you aren't interested in how calendars work or the importance of calendars, you can just skip this part.
Start skipping until you hear other words besides calendar.
Before the Gregorian calendar, in Europe and basically in anywhere where there were Roman people, we used the Julian calendar, which was created by Julius Caesar in that calendar was created in 46 BCE, and it started being used in 45.
And we get a lot of our month names from that calendar.
Yes, July, August, my birth month. I might know an emperor named Augustus. Mm-hmm. Did you know that Commodus adopted 12 names so that he could rename the Julian calendar the 12 names of his full name because he was crazy?
No, that's awesome.
He was a really crazy person.
What an egomaniac.
He renamed everything. He renamed Rome, the Roman Empire, the Colonia Commodiana, basically Commodus's colony.
This is my place.
He was crazy. He dressed up like Hercules. He carried around a big, like, giant log that he called the Club of Hercules. It was nuts.
How was he in charge of anything?
Oh, man, we can't go. Maybe we'll talk about Rome sometime. It's endlessly fascinating. So the purpose of the calendar is to try and figure out, it's to try and count how long it takes the Earth to go around the sun to get a year. And the way we do it is we count days, right? The sun comes up, the sun goes down, sun comes up, sun goes down.
Right.
But that is because of the Earth spinning, which is not related to the Earth rotating around the sun.
Uh-huh. The sun's not going up and coming down. We're just moving around.
Exactly. So those two cycles are unrelated. And in the show notes, there'll be a link to another CGP Grey video about leap years, which talks about this. I think the example he uses is, trying to count how long it takes the Earth to go around the sun by counting revolutions of the Earth would be like trying to figure out how fast a semi was going by counting the revolutions of a ballerina on the semi. They're not related. Two different things. So if we counted all of the revolutions of the Earth, we would get around 365 days for us to go all the way around the sun, for us to pass through all 4 seasons.
Right.
But it turns out that is 6 hours too short.
Too short.
So if you did that, eventually, over time, the days would shift, and the seasons would get out of sync. And then we would be celebrating, winter would be the hottest season, and summer would be the coolest season. And that's crazy! We can't have that! So calendar makers insert days. And that's why we get leap years and leap days, to try and account for that. So the purpose of a calendar is that whole college course distilled down. There are lots of ways you can do this. Purpose of a calendar is to tell you where you are in the seasonal cycle, tell you where you are in the process of the Earth rotating around the sun, and it uses the day-night cycle.
And finally, the most important reason to have a calendar is to know when your taxes are due, which is Tuesday. File by Tuesday.
Get them done. You can also file you can file for an extension, then you don't have to get them in until October. which is what I will likely do because I don't have time.
You don't have time for the IRS.
I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm filing an extension. I'm not going to file an extension. I'm doing my taxes today.
It took me a very short amount of time with TurboTax's help. Thank you. No paid promotion here though.
I will use TurboTax as well, but I'm hesitant to because I have taxes in 3 states.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I got married last year. That was a fun little experiment in IRS tax law.
Oh, man. Did that make it more or less complicated?
It made it more complicated last year, but this year was fine.
Okay.
Once you get it out of the way, then it's pretty straight sailing.
Okay, that makes sense. So, Matt, February 24th, 1582, and calendars are cool. Thank you for bringing them up.
They're way cooler
that was pretty
than we have time
restrained.
to talk about.
I think we only spent like 5 minutes on that.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. We'll link the complete article
us.
that will blow your mind in the link dump.
As well as Gray's video. Check it out. It's very good.
Yeah.
As all of his videos are. So, second random question from David Moulton. How did this come up twice? I mentioned this to you, Shawn, and then Dave mentioned it to you.
Which is why we have to address it.
Dave wants to know what you think of acted reviews. So reviews of things that are being like you're seeing it from a character, like someone who's playing a part,
right?
And specifically red letter media, which is a very unique type of review. What does he call himself? I don't even know what he calls himself.
I don't know.
I'll look it up. So what do you think about that?
I was shown red letter media, specifically the ones that you sent me. It was just coincidence for the Star Wars reviews. I guess he did. Did he do all 6 movies or just the new trilogy?
Just the new ones. He liked the original ones, so he didn't want to.
And I have plenty to say about the new trilogy, about like all the reasons I don't like it. But like I don't say it. I know all the reasons that I don't like it, but I don't go on and on about it. Basically, his reviews are just this character who just describes the most, like, the worst things about the movies and then just rags on them and thinks of all the funniest possible mean things to say about them. I don't have a problem.
That's probably true.
I don't have a problem with him. Like, I'm not going to, like, say he should stop that. But overall, this kind of like hater culture where it's like cool to make fun of someone else's hard work, I kind of have like a cringing reaction to it, because that could be my work that someone is tearing apart.
I hear where you're coming from. The character he plays his name is Plinkett, and the character itself is actually very strange. He's like supposed to be like this old, serial killer psychopath. Which the reason why I was going to bring him up last week was, if you were going to do a review of this length, I think you almost have to do it kind of like this. If you don't have a separate story to unite all of your points, it's just going to be like you're just going on and on and on. These reviews are 70, 80, 90 minutes long.
They're nearly as long as the films.
Exactly. So I hear where you're coming from with the hater thing. I would say this, and maybe it comes out more in the later reviews that he reviewed episode 2 and episode 3. I think that, yes, he is being kind of mean, but I think at the same time, he's coming at this, and I'm sure this is what all of haters would say anyway, so you can say fine, whatever. I disagree, but I think he's coming at this from the view of George Lucas in the original trilogy had to make art from adversity, and he made something that's very special that people care about, and then he took that same franchise and used it to cash in, and he didn't even do it in a very artistic way. He just did it in a very lazy way that has all of these flaws that weren't in the original trilogy, and that's why he's making these reviews. I don't think he's just being mean for the sake of being mean, is what I'm saying. Like people who say, Buffy sucks. It's like, well, whatever, Buffy sucks. What the heck is that?
I think it's
And
kind of
also,
like you with when we've been watching Buffy. When you watch an episode that you really particularly enjoy, you end up not taking that many notes, or even like you just remember like all the funniest bits. And then when you watch an episode that you really don't like, you have a lot to say.
yes,
That's what he's doing.
I think that I relate to him, and it's because he's doing this analytical takedown. He's saying, here is every single thing that's wrong with these movies. But at the same time, I can see that, yes, it may not be an enjoyable experience to be like, oh my goodness, you're just like, you're catching every little thing that is wrong with these movies. I think that by the time you get to episode 3 and his review of that, he gets super reflective about the entire trilogy. And he's no longer being mean. You might think it's mean. He's no longer being mean at the very end after you've slogged through like 3 hours of reviews. He's just saying he's taking clips of George Lucas expressing all of the major things that this character Plinkett, thinks is wrong, finding little things from behind the scenes stuff and interviews, and then just flashing back to, he cuts it between George Lucas saying these things and stuff from the original trilogy that is completely the opposite of that and awesome.
He's
and
pulling
then,
a
like
Daily
Yoda,
Show on them.
Yes. And I think by the end, you get away from the analytical takedown, and it's just much more of a broad sweep of like, boy, they just did not accomplish anything that they tried to with this trilogy. And it seems to a lot of people that many choices were made to just get as many people in the door and to sell a bunch of stuff, which is kind of lame.
Yeah, I would say that the way that this guy for Red Letter Media approaches the hater aspect of it is probably an exception to most of the haters, because he really, how much time does it take him? Like, he's spending a huge amount of effort into making these reviews that are just about hating something. So there's obviously something that he likes about it, or he wouldn't spend the time doing it.
Right. He's reviewed some other movies. He started with Star Trek reviews, which are shorter and actually they're more mean and they're less mean at the same time. They're more dismissive of the movies entirely, whereas these are, like, to your point, he's actually engaging with the movies in a pretty meaningful way. They're also I mean, this must take forever. The amount of editing alone must have taken weeks.
Yeah, it's a very complete package. Yeah.
So there's some complex thoughts for Dave.
That's what we think. I haven't spent that much time listening to him just because I feel bad when I do.
Yeah. I'll give him this. He does not make fun much at all of Hayden Christensen's acting. He just more makes fun of the lines that he was given to act.
Well, good, because they were awful.
Right. Which I appreciate, because a lot of haters were like, Hayden Christensen sucks. And it's like, Hayden Christensen doesn't suck. And nobody could have dealt with those lines.
I just hate this place. Sand gets everywhere and in everything.
We can't go there. That was my least favorite. I would watch The Phantom Menace over Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, I would too.
Attack of the Clones was just so hopelessly bad. It was that romance subplot that just kills me.
Yeah.
Makes me want to cry. Well,
we have one random question that we're going to avoid, at least until later.
Yes. We wanted to mention why.
We want to mention we're avoiding it.
Yes. So, there was some other Apple news this week that people, if they're plugged in, are probably wondering why we haven't mentioned it, until now. So, Apple, as well as a bunch of publishers, are getting sued by the Department of Justice.
The United States government.
Over the government is suing them for a number of things related to competition, conspiracy, price fixing
All
on
about the
ebooks.
ebooks, yeah.
And it has to do with the reason I will maybe next week I'll explain what's going on because it's a little subtle, but it has to do with Apple and these companies using what's called the agency model of publishing. And I just don't want to get into that right now. Uh, the government is criticizing these companies. They say that they conspired to together use the agency model in an anti-competitive way, particularly as it relates to Amazon. We don't want to touch it right now because nobody knows anything.
Yeah,
and
this is very up in the air.
we're-
Everyone is pointing fingers right now, so we don't want to
We feel fine.
fingers pointed at us.
Right. We feel fine wildly speculating about what Tim Cook was doing at Valve. We don't feel fine wildly speculating about this case that is actually a big deal. So
Yeah.
we will.
This is going to decide something. Either way that it goes, this is going to be an interesting news for the book publishing company, for the book publishing industry.
Yes, and already so many things have happened, and it's very. We want to wait. We want to wait and see. So that's why we're not going to talk about that this week. And we might not talk about it next week, but we will talk about it when we know something more.
Believe it or not, sometimes we play it safe here.
Yeah, I've deleted finally that one topic that we've had that whole long time.
It's
I
gone?
spill the beans on?
Yeah.
About it. So I didn't keep in my notes where this came from, but someone in a comment I think mentioned a interpretation of Harry Potter, which is very different, that we potentially were going to talk about, but now I've just decided we're not going to talk about it. It's been in my notes since like the 6th podcast.
It has. It's been the forever delayed topic.
That topic, it was going to be a main topic, and was Dumbledore actually an evil character?
Yeah, sit on that for a
Was
little
he
while.
bad? So we're not going to go there. I don't think he's an evil character, but I spent one of the big
It's an
reasons why I
interesting
didn't talk-
conspiracy theory for the reading of the books.
I didn't want to talk about it because I thought it would just like that dislike bar would go crazy. Like, Dumbledore, evil? Are you crazy? What's wrong with you? At long last, have you no decency, sir?
Hey, there have been documentaries about inside jobs on 9/11. Why can't we talk about the possibility of Dumbledore being an evil mastermind?
Because he was good. But he did some bad things.
Right.
He did some bad things. I'm
He's a
not going
human.
to say that. Exactly. I'm not going to say that he didn't make some mistakes, like with his sister and his brother and all of that. And yes, he always kept Harry out of the dark and he was very manipulative, but I think that fundamentally Dumbledore was a good character. And let's talk about Marble Hornets.
Okay. We wrapped up
finished?
season 2 in a big long marathon this week.
Yes, congratulations everyone who made it through entries 42 through 52. I believe there's over an hour. I think an hour's worth of footage at least.
Yeah, 2 of the videos added up to half an hour by themselves.
And there were many that were those sort of middle-length videos, 7, 8 minutes long, 9 minutes long. So
This is mostly footage from the hard drive.
this is footage from the hard drive. This is all footage from the hard drive, and a little bit at the end of J, and a
Right,
couple
some present day stuff. Yeah, almost present day, like right before.
almost present day.
Yeah, right before the forgetting starts at the very beginning of the season.
Yes. So I have 2 big things to sort of before we just start talking about all of them. 2 big things I wanted to get out there at the top. One, I noticed the ads a lot more in these, and I don't know why, but they were very distracting to me, especially the video ones.
It's definitely jarring when you're going from video to video, and all of a sudden you have to watch a 30-second silent ad before one of the videos.
Yeah. That's probably it. When do you think that they're going to take away the volume button for those ads?
I don't know. I've found it interesting that they mute them by default. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. So I noticed those more. I think you're onto it that we just watched so much that it was very distracting. One of them was a promo for Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, nice. Yeah, every so often I would get like campaign ads, and I would be like, not the time.
Yeah, get those too. Also, Cabin in the Woods. We'll talk about it next week. We're on it.
We will discuss it in length next week, full of spoilers. So if you're gonna see it this week, and you
See
should.
it this week. So it worked out well. I was going to see it yesterday, and then I didn't, and Shawn did. So if we'd both seen it, we probably would have pushed it to next week anyway. But
Yeah.
he'll give you all time.
I think I might go for it. I might try and see it a second time because my mom doesn't know it yet, but she's gonna love this movie.
Hmm.
My mom is
Interesting.
kind of a like my dad can't do horror. He can't do queasy like gross stuff. My mom has kind of a twisted sense of humor. I think she would like this movie a lot.
Ah. Interesting. My mom treats horror movies like I treat roller coasters. She doesn't like she is anxious and she experiences horror movies,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
she likes that
I
experience.
think your mom and my mom would be good movie buddies.
Yeah. Whereas I mean I see horror movies for a similar way, but I'm also a little more I've seen a lot, so
They're
it takes a
not gonna
lot to
make you
really.
jump as much.
I mean, the jump scares always make me jump, but like, I'm not gonna feel. I can watch Marble Hornets late at night and I'm not and sleep. I might be a little anxious and like, ooh boy, that was creepy, but there are people who just can't watch Marble Hornets at all because
Elaine,
they, Elaine, because they will just like, it will affect them.
right?
So the other big thing, I really like the structure of this season now that we're wrapping up. It sort of starts in the middle of things at the beginning, and things progress a little bit in present day, and then we go way back in time and fill in all of that gap. I really like that.
It's
I thought it was
certainly
very
easier to
successful.
follow without thinking about following it. Like
Yes.
your brain does a good job of sorting all of this in the correct way.
Yes, and it makes for an interesting overall story between season one, season two, season three, and wherever they're going. To have season two like this because they they got us almost a year into the future, but it doesn't feel like we it took a long time. It doesn't feel like we took a long time getting there because we went from season one to season two, and there was a big jump, and then they filled it in, and then they're connecting season two and season three, and I just think it works really well. Whereas season one, also season two, the structure of it, and maybe they're just better writing, even though this obviously takes place in real life.
Right?
I thought that they were much more successful in having crazy things happen that I felt like I could understand. Whereas in season one, crazy things would happen, and I felt like I didn't understand what was going on. I'm like, crazy things are happening.
It
I don't
seems
know
like
why.
there's more cause and reaction and things that you can follow a thread.
Yes, and it helps when you know where you're going to do those types of things. Troy and Joseph and the team. And they've said that. I'm not being overly critical. They've noticed, and everyone noticed, that season one was a little disjointed, and some of it didn't work really well because they didn't really think it out
That
clearly
reminds
ahead
me,
of
I
time.
need that podcast with them on it. Now that we're caught up,
Yes.
that will go in the
Yes.
info.
That it is posted in 4 or 5 parts on Troy's YouTube channel.
Okay.
Troy has a camera.
Troy has a camera. Which is a
All
pretty
right.
funny channel, and we watched some of the videos on it a couple weeks ago. Do they not know how to end a funny sketch with something other than a non sequitur?
I don't.
They don't have punchlines. They just have, oh, that's a really weird last shot.
Yes. The one where Tim's real name is Tim,
Yeah.
where he
Convenient.
has a box. That's you see that one?
Yes, I did.
Christmas present?
His head is
I
in a
like that
box.
one. His head's in a box.
Okay, so anyway, Marble Hornets.
Marble Hornets. We're not talking about Troy. I don't know what his last name is. We're not talking about that. This was a roller coaster, not unlike the double dive. What's your roller coaster on Roller Coaster
Double
Tycoon?
drop. And the remix.
Double drop, not unlike that. It barrels to the end. Once you get to this part, once you get to the hard drive, it is quick, even though it takes an hour.
So we start with entry 42, which is the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Indeed.
And
And
Jay has run out of the forest away from that thing. That thing is in there.
they only call it that thing.
Right. When they're
They
talking to
never.
each other, they don't have a name for it or whatever. They just refer to it and the other people know what they're talking about it.
That gets me thinking, they don't really on film ever discuss explicitly what's happening to them,
I
even in the
know.
title cards. Do you think that they're unable to?
I I don't know. That's bothered me a couple times why they don't just have a conversation.
In fact, I have some evidence for my theory. Jessica
Yeah.
asked Jay what's in one of the early entries in this season. Just can you just please just tell me what's going on? And Jay says, "I'll explain everything to you. I just gotta get my stuff, and then I'll
Just
come
wait
over to your
two
room
seconds.
and keep the door open because doors are important in Marble Hornets because people can teleport in them." And then and Maskey shows up, and we never see Jessica. We never see her again.
And we haven't.
And that was the very last thing she said. Like, will you explain this to me? And Jay says, yes, just give me a second. And she's gone. I think that they can't talk about it, or that the universe is trying to keep them from discussing what's happening to them. So that each one of them only knows one piece of the puzzle.
Why
And
don't
if they
the
could
other
just talk about it.
characters watch the YouTube page?
Well, Alex does.
Alex does.
In entry 52, he says, I told you I was going to burn these tapes, and then I said I don't want to talk about this. That I thought you would know that implies not sharing it with the world. While
And he
he's
was
well, get there.
it's subtext there. Also, how much money are you making from the advertising on these? Because I want a cut of that.
So that's how Jay is surviving on the run. It's AdSense
Right. He's
from
living
YouTube.
on the run off of Google.
He is monetizing his horrible experience.
Why not? It's art.
All right. So yeah, we start with the hard drive. The tapes were all Jay stuff. So this season is kind of split in two, and the hard drive kind of starts the story toward the end of Jay's footage. It's things are happening at the same time, and we actually get some cool
We get split screen stuff.
split screen stuff between what was Jay looking at and what was Alex looking at. So we start with this.
Usually like a handheld camera and the chest camera at the same
Mhm.
time.
And I want to talk about the chest camera because in 42, they do a great. There's a great setup for the chest cam. So we don't really we see the chest cam on Jay a lot, and I think it was confusing, right? And they wanted it to be confusing. Why am I walking around and looking like what Jay's looking at? And it's like, oh my goodness, it's a chest camera. How cool. In 42, I thought this was really smart. Instead of starting with the chest camera is on and it's sitting in the chair or the seat in the car next to Alex, and he picks it up and puts it on.
Right.
So you can tell, we're gonna look at through the chest camera now, and this is Alex's perspective. I thought it was a great way to introduce Alex's perspective.
Yeah.
For us to at first start looking at him and then move the chest camera onto him. I thought it was really smart.
And then they keep it with him for quite a while.
Yes, yes. Did you notice Jay's voicemail? He also says, "I'm not answering my phone right now."
Yes, I did. I noticed it this time around.
I had never noticed that before. I'd noticed Alex's voicemail in previous views.
I
but
can't tell if it's deliberate or not.
Now I'm wondering. They both say it
Or
because
if it's
Jessica's.
just like if it's just casual phrasing.
I don't know. Jessica says, "I'm not here right now," in her voicemail message. I wonder what Tim's is.
I don't know. Let's call him.
This is Tim and/or Maskey. I'm not answering my phone right now.
I'm trimming my sideburns.
If I have a mask on right now, I'm not answering my phone. So, the arc response memories. This is it's been building to this, but to the arc is crazy revenge minded. He
Yeah.
is obsessed with Alex. And in that one, he says so much more than time has been taken, and I think that one he is probably referring to Jay, a little bit since Jay's memory has been taken, but I think he's also talking about himself or whoever To the Ark is. Like Alex has taken something from him. What? I don't know.
His ability to walk.
Yeah, we get a little stumbly video of Tim toward the end on To the Ark. And that video I think is important because it makes me think that Tim is not To the Ark.
I don't think that Tim is To the Ark.
I don't think he is. I think I have thought that for periods, and now I don't think that anymore.
I think whoever is To the Ark, we have never seen their face. I don't know that we've never seen them on camera, but I don't think we've seen their face.
Maybe. I think that he's probably the dude with the mask, the other mask.
Yeah.
And as evidence, we'll get there in this run. I think that makes it clear. And I definitely... I don't think it's Tim, but I wouldn't say that Tim doesn't know about To the Ark. And maybe is collaborating in some ways, but whatever. We'll get there. So, entry 43.
They go back to the house that we saw the blonde girl with Alex's camera. I didn't know he had a camera. This is where he was when they escaped. Yes.
It's raining. Bad things happen in the rain in Marble Hornets. Rain's not good. And in entry 43, is this the one that I'm thinking of? They eventually end up at the forest?
Yeah.
And I think this is a different location from the Rosswood Park that they used in Jay's videos. They found this really cool location where it's a forest, and it's got all this undergrowth before you get to the forest. It looks like it's solid. Like you shouldn't be able to get through it, but if you just kind of like duck under it, it's kind of like bushes and brush. If you duck under it, you get inside, and then it's all open in the forest. It's really cool.
Isn't that weird? I went back and forth through that a couple times to see if they were fooling us with an editing trick, and I don't think they are. I think it's just that's the way the forest looks.
Yeah, I think that they found a practical location, but I think it's different from the location that they were previously using. The trees also look a little different, which I think gives it away. Sorry, guys. No, don't mean to be critical, but
a lot of parkland over there in California, I guess.
You sure? Why not? It almost looks like you shouldn't be able to get into the forest, which ups the danger level to 11, I think, because it's like, oh my goodness, what are you doing? Why are you getting in there? Forest is totally creepy, man. Totally creepy.
Things happen in the forest.
Yeah. So Alex, he said he was going to go back to the apartment, but he lied.
He lied.
He lies.
It's
getting dark.
I'm assuming he's looking for the operator. I think he goes there because he knows that's where he is. I don't know why. I have no theories about why he seeks him.
So, if we want to start throwing out theories now, I don't think entry 37. I don't think that was actually the operator there. I think that was edited in by To the Ark. First of all,
okay,
because it doesn't look like the operator. It doesn't look like him at all. It looks. Every other time we've seen the operator, at some point we've seen some kind of like physical operator. The actual thing that they made to look like the operator. And that one, it's only digital.
Right.
I think that was To the Ark implying that Alex has a history with this thing. And I think that he has some sort of deal with this entity that that the operator will protect him if he feeds it.
He feeds it.
Yeah.
That's
what I think.
It's a feed me Seymour situation.
Yes. We've mentioned that before. I was the dentist.
You wanted to be a dentist.
So the operator shows up while Alex is obviously trying to find him. Alex gets sick. He falls to the ground. And then instead of running, he starts moving toward him.
That's the last thing we get to know.
in my notes I have a la Leia, why are we still moving toward it? Uh, then we get inquiry to the Ark. Very mysterious. You are you. Who are you? Are you who you are? You are who? What? Just a lot of words.
This is the pronoun video.
Yes.
This is one of those videos that has a crazy spectrogram analysis of it that I don't even understand how it works.
Mm-hmm.
People pull the audio out of these To the Ark videos and then put them through a spectrogram, which shows the audio pattern and then like analyzes it some way, and it will actually spell out words. I don't even know how. So if I understood how this worked, I would be using it myself.
Yeah, they've found a way to, like, in Photoshop or something to mock up what they want the spectrograph to look like, and then reverse it, put it through the analysis the other direction, and see what sounds come out.
Right, and make like
how they did
noise out of it. Because when you listen to it, it's just noise. It's just static and feedback and weird things.
Yeah. So in entry 44, we're back at Alex's apartment. It's night. It's dark. He calls Jessica, totally lies to her, tells her that he got in touch with Amy. So this that's a big red flag. And then he's just chilling in the room with the operator. Operator's there. He's just like sitting.
It's like, hey, buddy.
And then
he's also doing those crazy, like, okay, so we're assuming that this is in order. Like, he went to the forest. He met the operator. He comes back. He lies. He does crazy, like, schizophrenic style drawings on paper, and then hangs out with the operator, disappears for the rest of the night, and never comes back.
Yes, in my notes I have a note on this entry. Proof positive of Alex's psychosis.
Yes, totally.
And the operator...
It seems weird that he would capture all of this on camera. What is he... For what?
That's true.
It's only proving his own guilt.
That's true. And one of the theories that I've had, and maybe it's amendable, but a theory that I've had is that people use the camera potentially to fix the operator, to stop him from teleporting, because he can teleport like all over the place. But Alex gets teleported, so that busts my theory.
It would appear on camera.
The only saving grace for that theory is maybe it has to be tape, because it was a hard drive camera.
It is a digital capture.
So maybe it has to be tape, but I don't know. I don't think that.
It seems too fine a line.
Right. Every other time, though, it does seem like, the operator teleports all around the place. But if you got a camera, he's like a physical presence that you can touch. I don't know. Yeah, so the operator teleports him somewhere, we don't know where. And then the battery dies or tape runs out.
Right.
So, entry 45, we're back at the apartment. This is a hugely important entry. Alex is he looks paranoid at the beginning. I think that they accomplished this as well, because they've got the camera on a table and he's standing up, so it makes you feel anxious, just the way that the angle is set up.
That fisheye lens often adds to the feeling of anxiety.
Yes. So Alex and he's also kind of like moving around. He's touching things. He's moving things. He goes out. He comes back in. And then eventually he notices something outside, and it's that hoodie guy.
Right.
It's the guy with the wide-eyed mask. Maybe it's Jay. I don't know. And he's luring him. He's obviously luring him somewhere, because Alex is chasing him, and he's like, "Stop! Where are you?" And
it's a trap.
It's a trap. The guy actually stops at one point and looks behind him to see if Alex is still following him. So he clearly is trying to lure him somewhere. And Alex is just totally, "I'm gonna get you." Yes, Alex is usually not very stupid. Jay is frequently stupid and does stupid things. Alex is usually a little more careful and thinks of things. Although he has done some stupid things, like keeping that damn camera. Anyway, he gets lured into the woods, and he finds not just the guy in the hood in the mask, but also Tim or Masky or whatever, however you want to think of that character.
Is
They're
this
there
the first time
waiting
we've
for
seen
him.
them together?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. So one of the reasons why I think Tim is involved with the To the Ark channel is because of all of the revenge-related stuff. They throw Alex to the ground, and he's got the rock, or he's got some rock.
Yeah, I
that
don't know
Alex
what's with
used
these
to break
guys.
Tim's leg.
They're obsessed with crushing people's body parts with rocks. They don't
Yeah,
believe in
that's
guns
gonna
or
come up.
knives they only infrequently.
Right, and the only knives they use are like pen knives that are tiny. Tim has the rock or a rock, and he like shoves it in Alex's face, and he's obviously saying something to him, and they're about to like do something to screw up Alex, and then they both look up at the same time and run away. I think the operator showed up.
Yeah, there is
They
a
don't show
frame. There is a frame, one of those weird things right before they look away. Off frame. So that would be the appearance of the operator, and then they run away.
Yes. So I think that feeds into my theory that the operator is protecting Alex for some reason.
Alex ends the video by screaming into the dark. If he ever sees them again, he's going to kill them.
Yeah.
They do that thing where
He
every
says-
time Alex gets angry, it will like distort the audio and video.
Yeah, his rage is like it pours over into this other media. He says, "The next time I see you, I'll kill you." It's very the writing there. It's all very small words, and he punctuates all of them, and he ends by like screaming, "I'll kill you." It's very guttural and primal. It's not like a human being at that point. It's
He
like
means it.
just his anger. Yeah, exactly. And he totally intends to kill them. Entry 46. Jay is turning into a stalker.
This is kind of like the second story of the previous entry. Is this not taking place at the same point?
No, it doesn't. Because Alex just goes out to take his trash and he comes right back. He
Oh,
catches
that's right.
Jay.
That's right.
I thought that too, but then I forgot what happened because they needed to do it this way so that you could think that the masked guy he could be Jay. He still could be Jay. If
it okay.
Right, they had to I bet they wanted to do it that way, but they didn't have enough characters. They kind of wrote themselves into a corner, and entry. They would have liked to have done like some split screen stuff here with Jay and Alex, but they couldn't because they'd got. I'm not going to fault the writing, but whatever. I think it's
adding
pretty
another character would just add another level of confusion, like an exponential amount. So they were probably avoiding it on purpose.
So they changed the way that it worked, and what happens is Alex says I think somewhere in these entries he says that 3 months pass of him following Alex all the time. Jay is crazy. He sees Alex leave his apartment. He doesn't know where he's going, and he just runs up and is like, "I'm gonna look in your apartment," because once again, Jay is stupidly brave.
Brave but dumb.
Brave but dumb, and his bravery comes from his stupidity. He thinks, "I'll be totally fine. Alex isn't in his apartment right now," and he doesn't know where Alex is going. And it turns out that he was just taking the trash out. So he gets in the house. He breaks into the house. I immediately am like, am terrified because I hate these types of videos, and they do a much more anxiety-provoking one later where someone is doing something they shouldn't. They could get caught. And you're along for the ride. That's like a roller coaster experience for me. It's like, oh no, you're gonna get caught. He steals a tape, and Alex comes back in and he hides in a closet because that makes sense.
After leaving his flashlight in Alex's bedroom.
Jay, just fail him. So Alex sees the flashlight. We don't see that, but he sees the flashlight, and then he calls Jay's phone, which rings.
Duh. Worst
Jay,
home invasion ever.
Yeah. Jay like turns it off and he hesitates for a while, and then he tries to run out, and Alex is like, "Hey Jay, you left your flashlight." And Alex reacts sort of strangely to this situation. he kind of takes it. I feel like if I was Alex, I'd be like, "What the heck were you doing in my apartment?" And he's more just, "What did you think this would accomplish?" He's gone past all of the outrage that Jake did what he did.
And it's just almost like maybe he knew already that he was there.
That could feed into your idea about them knowing about what's going on through the cameras.
Right.
Maybe because he had a camera on, he already knew. I don't know.
If he's all buddy-buddy with the operator, and if the operator sees what's going through the camera, I like it.
Maybe. Put that one in that theory folder.
Okay.
So Jay says, they're talking, and then Jay interrupts. They turn the lights out, and he's like, "Turn the flashlight off." And he says, "Look out the window." And I think he's indicating that the operator is there. And Alex says a very strange line. He says, "You let it right here." I think that's not true.
Well, he's covering his own butt.
Yeah. And Jay buys it, I think. Something happens, there's a visual tear, and then the operator is in the hallway behind both of them. Jay books it and steals a house key. But Alex doesn't leave.
No.
Which at least Jay notices that. Our dumb little protagonist realizes that something is wrong there.
Plenty of time to get out, but didn't leave.
He, in the title card at the end, he says, "I don't know why he wouldn't run."
A little opinion for you.
Finally, he's having an opinion. I just feel like Jay is taking a painful amount of time to piece the puzzle together. That if another character had been in the same situations, they would know a lot more than Jay right now.
Yeah.
I still like Jay, though.
And we do, as we're watching it.
That's one of the reasons why this is a very watchable series. You care about the protagonist. Good job, guys. So, Classified. I don't remember. What was the content of this? I know that someone unscrambled the numbers, but were they just flashing on the screen?
It's something about the twins knowing what...
Yes, the twins.
So, I guess that they want us to think that possibly Maskey and the hoodie guy are called the twins. Is that what we're inferring?
The twins, do you know what he did? Maybe. So, twins. What are the possibilities for twins? Could be Hoodie and Maskey. Could be Maskey and Tim. Could be Jay and Alex.
It's the first time that we've ever seen... We've seen lots of things to indicate the name of the operator. They do a good job of establishing, like, his name's the operator. The twins is something that's pretty new, I think.
Yes. So that's why I think, maybe it's metaphorical. So I think the obvious conclusion is that they're talking about Maskey and Hoodie. I guess we're just going to call them Maskey and Hoodie.
We now have a team there.
Yeah. Yes. Also, this is another piece of evidence in the To the Ark channel that To the Ark might not be any of these people, because he's referring to them in a third-person voice.
And it really doesn't seem like a single person.
Yeah, true. One theory is that it's the entire cast of the original Marble Hornets, less Jay.
He doesn't get to be in their club.
Right, that would be Seth and Brian and Sarah, Tim. Seth, Brian, Sarah, Tim. And maybe that guy who did filming, or was that Seth? I think there might have been another. That was Seth. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea what that one means. We get to entry 47. Jay looks like a mess. That's my first note. His head's on the steering wheel. He looks defeated. He looks tired. His hair is messed up. Looks bad. So he's also he's just like in a parking lot with his head on the steering wheel.
He's constantly on the he doesn't leave the area, but I think he just keeps moving around the area constantly.
I think he's probably still sleeping in his car a little bit.
Yeah.
It's night. Alex shows up.
now he decides to be angry.
Now he's mad. He's like, "You broke into my apartment. I hate you." He says a very critical line. I brought you out here because I thought you could help, but you've done nothing but make everything worse. That's interesting to me. What if that's true? What if he's not just being Alex? What if that he did bring him out here to try and make things better, but because of what Jay is doing and actively working against Alex. I think that there's no subterfuge there. I think that Alex is genuinely just upset that Jay isn't being quiet and not posting videos to YouTube, and Alex is just unleash. Now he's unleashing the operator, and it's bringing back Maskey. It's all of the stuff that Alex had to deal with in this first season. Jay is the reason why he's dealing with them again. Although, really, the reason why, who the real main character or the bad character here is Amy, obviously, because she brought the operator back.
Right. And maybe I'm assuming that when Alex told him he brought him here to help, he's only talking about that, because that was why he decided to send him the tape asking for help when Amy disappeared.
Yes. And instead of going down the Amy route, and we don't know anything about Amy, and she's mentioned frequently in this season, but we never see her. We don't know what's happened to her. That is a plot point for the third season, I hope. I hope they have thought about that, and they don't just leave that on the floor. But it is a first season kind of thing, so maybe they will. Uh-oh. And then... huge move by Jay. Steals Alex's car keys, throws them in his car, locks the door.
I really liked this entire scene because I think it was for the most part one take, and the intensity between the two of them is really good. Like, there were a couple times when Alex is marching towards Jay that I was like afraid he was going to take a swing at him, and like I was just like, is he going to hurt him right now?
Yeah, and Jay is, he's so proud, and you can hear it in his voice that he thought to steal the keys and do that little move. Door's locked. Looks like you're gonna have to do what I say. And it's like, Jay is frequently very timid. Part of the whole story of Marble Hornets, I think, is the story of Jay coming out of his shell. Starts out just title cards, very businesslike, and then he starts getting opinions a little bit, and he starts thinking and theorizing a little bit in the title cards, and then finally we see him. He's really shy and timid, and then he starts to open up a little bit to Jessica, and now he's kind of empowered a little bit more.
Maybe we're helping. The audience helps.
Yeah, so that's a great character arc. Jay's character arc is pretty awesome. Alex's is amazing, but for totally different reasons. So Jay, what he wants is Jessica's phone number. He's never been in touch with Jessica. This is a big thing because if Jay says it right in the title cards, in hindsight, I never should have called her, and he doesn't say this, it's implied, because he involved her. She was not involved in this before, and Jay dragged her into this situation because of Jay just wants to know. That's his entire motivation as a character, is he wants to understand what's going on. And in this situation, he brought a civilian, there was a civilian brought in, basically, and not good.
He now knows on this end of it that if he wouldn't have done this, that she might be fine, and who knows, he might still have his memory.
Maybe. Or maybe he'd be dead. We're getting there, though. Entry 48 starts out with a title card. I began following Alex, i.e. I became a creepy stalker guy.
This is when we learn just how often Alex likes to go to the forest.
He goes there regular basis, with a satchel. And this is the part where now it's a detective story. Now we've moved into...
This is Chinatown.
This is Chinatown. That reminds me of a Mike Birbiglia skit for some reason. Just the way you said, this is Chinatown. But yeah, it is. It's a detective story. This is totally different from the rest of, because Jay is spying on Alex. He's trying to put the pieces together. So he's going to Rosswood Park. He's got a satchel. What's going on? I don't want to go into the park because I know the park is dangerous. Finally, he knows the park is dangerous and he's not walking around it anymore, but he's forced to. And he follows Alex. He basically says, I've been tracking him. He goes into the woods, and I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to go into the woods, too. And he follows Alex. And Alex ends up at this tunnel.
And we've seen this tunnel.
At the beginning of season 2.
Yeah.
We have footage of Alex in the tunnel, and he sees a rock with what looks like blood. So this isn't good to be at this location because we've been tipped off. The audience knows that something bad happens here. And Jay, I thought he was too close to Alex, but I don't know. I thought that he was physically too close to him, that if he had stayed back, maybe he could have covered everything, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe the operator tipped Alex off, though.
Well, if Alex appeared on camera, on Jay's camera, yeah.
Maybe he tipped him off. Because I don't think Jay made a noise. Maybe he did. Do you remember? I don't think he made a noise, but Alex looks behind him in Jake's direction.
I don't think there's any. It's just that feeling you get. When you stare at someone and all of a sudden they look at you. Like, how did they know I was staring at them?
There is some. I won't go into it. There's some research and some thoughts on the feeling that one has when one is being watched.
Yeah.
That there is that, you know, through like your whole sensorium, like your whole experience of the world around you, that maybe there are things that can clue you off to that. But anyway, whatever. It's also likely an evolutionary response that we just think that things are looking at us all the time, because if we waste a little bit of energy jumping and looking over at something and then running away, that's okay. But
being paranoid is often a good quality.
It might be a waste of energy, but the times that it's not a waste of energy, you get to live.
Right.
and that the people that didn't have that paranoia, they, you know, were fine all the time. They got eaten by the lions and didn't make any babies.
Yeah,
anyway,
Jay's paranoia serves him well here because he just runs away.
Yes. He's also getting smarter. Just run away. Just run away, Jay. Don't go back. Then we get a very interesting to the arc response. He says, "This is the best part." So I think he's referring to what happens in these two related videos, that this is the best part.
He's just someone in the audience commenting.
This is the best part. I think he's calling to Jay's attention, like, you see what's coming up? Something big. You're going to want to watch this. It's the best part.
You're close. You're getting warmer.
So Jay, being a detective, says, "Aha, I was filming Alex. I have my tapes. Alex had the camera. I have his hard drive. I should be able to
Let's go see what he saw.
I can go to the tape." He goes to the tape. He puts it online. He says, does he say this on this one? No, he says it in entry 52. Never mind. So this one's pretty cool. It starts out with the split screen.
Yeah, we get to see entry 48, his perspective tied up with Alex's chest cam.
For quite a while. It's pretty cool. Logistically complex as well, to make sure that, because obviously they did film. Maybe that's not obvious. Maybe you can shed light. It seems very. It seems like they filmed both the cameras at the same time and used that footage.
Yeah,
not that they filmed
as far as I can tell, they did.
Right. So that can be complicated to make sure that people don't get in other people's shots and that everybody is going to the places they need to go at the same time. All that. At the very beginning, Alex mutters, "Don't follow me." He's talking to Jay? Does he mean Jay? I think he means Jay.
I don't. He's talking to everyone.
So maybe he's also saying, like, don't do maybe this was a clear-headed moment from Alex, like, don't follow the path that I've followed. Don't be like me, kids.
He's being an Anakin Skywalker.
Maybe. I think that if your theory is right, he knew that Jay was there the whole time, and he was just like, "God, don't follow me, man. I'm gonna have to kill you if you follow me, and I'd rather kill you in a different way." And we end. So the end of entry 48 happens. Jay runs away, and we're left with Alex sitting at the entry to this tunnel. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. But it's a tunnel with two entrances. It like goes through a hill, so there's light on both sides. You can see through it.
They use that fisheye lens to make it look like it's about 200 feet long.
Right. And Jay says that Alex was there for 15 minutes just sitting or kind of crouched on the ground. And then events transpire.
So there's this poor guy in a white shirt.
stranger. We're told it's a total stranger. We're meant to believe it's a total stranger. I think it's a total stranger. But being Marble Hornets,
we've seen him now in 3 separate videos.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him in 29. We saw that white shirt. We saw him in 48, and now we've seen him in 49.
Yes, but we're told that they don't know this dude. I don't know who he is. He shows up, and like a normal human being, he sees this guy like looking in a tunnel, and he probably shouldn't be there. And he says, "Hey, is everything okay?" And Alex gets up and just shouts, "I told you not to follow me!" and just starts wailing on the guy, punching him.
It's assault.
Hitting him. He assaults him, throws him to the ground, and oh my gosh, he loses the camera and it falls to the ground and it's on its side.
Of course,
we see
it's
everything
sideways.
that happens sideways, which is so cool. So cool, guys. He chokes this guy on the ground, and I don't think he kills him, but he's beating him up enough that he's just on the ground. He's not getting up. Goes off camera, picks up a rock.
Again with the rocks.
Comes back. Again with the rocks, Alex. Picks up the rock. I wonder if it's the same rock. I wonder if the operator teleported it there or something.
It's
like
the
a special
killing
rock.
stone.
The lambs have come to the slaughter. I swear I'll see it, guys. And he crushes the guy's skull. We don't really see it, but he crushes the guy's skull.
I think this is an instance where we can believe the title card. We're told that he smashes.
Does he say he took? Does Jay say he took that? Does Jay say that he took that clip out?
Yes, he said footage removed. Okay. Alex smashed this guy's head 4 times.
4 times. He's murdered in cold blood. Once he's done, sets the rock aside, kind of goes around the guy's body, and very calmly and casually picks up his glasses and puts them back on his face.
Leaves the frame.
And then, leaves the frame. The operator shows up.
Scary things.
We get that awesome
sound effects.
It builds to a climax, and then the guy's body is gone.
And so is the operator.
I'm wondering if Jay was meant to be killed there, and Alex just thought that was Jay, and then he just lost control and killed that guy anyway.
He reacted with no hesitation. He turned around. I told you not to follow me. Bam, 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 bam.
Kills him dead. Alex is a murderer. There's nothing, no more redeeming qualities for Alex. He killed someone. Just as a character, as a person, it's like you have murdered in cold blood. It was a stranger. There is nothing left for you. Bad things should happen to you.
That's what the Ark's been saying.
Yep. So maybe To the Ark is that guy.
He's a ghost. To the Ark is dead.
To the Ark is that guy, and he is pushing Jay to avenge him. Maybe. And he's somehow also moved through time because he was making videos. Whatever. We get the extraction video. This one, the text that we're presented is pretty awesome. It's how much do you hate? It is not enough. And is that the one where Tim is shambling toward the camera?
Yes.
How much do you hate? It's not enough.
I guess we can assume Tim is limping because of the assault in the house or whatever that's all destroyed. The
burnt out place, yeah. Well, I don't want to say that because they use that term later. But yeah. So this is another one where I think To the Ark is expressing that he is A, not Tim, and B, is kind of a third person, or he's taking this third person perspective. How much do you hate? It's not enough. He's talking to Tim. And I think that what he's saying, I think that this is kind of like a coda. It's a response. I think it's a coda to entry 49. He's saying to Tim, hey, remember Alex? Remember how much you hate him and how you're stalking him and you want to do bad things to him because he broke your leg? Look what he did to this other guy. Whatever amount of hatred you have for him, it's not nearly enough to the things that Alex has done.
Murderer.
He's a murderer, dude. And can you believe we've come this far from entry 1, the Alex in entry 1, and how we thought about him, to the Alex in entry 49.
Yeah.
It's pretty extraordinary. We're moving, man, at a clip. Entry 50. Jay and his paring knife. Yeah, Jay. If Alex tries to do anything, you can, like, file his nails or something.
Stick a knife an inch into his leg.
Well, that's what Tim did. It's like, when Alex gets stabbed with a tiny knife, he usually has a rock lying around somewhere, and he's probably going to crush something.
Default response.
What does he expect that he'd be able to do with that? So he tells Jessica what he's doing, tells her about the whole Amy lying thing, and he has this sort of ham-handed way of being, well, maybe Alex just misspoke. I'm going to try and figure it out. I don't know. I'm Jay. And something consequential in this video. Alex doesn't have the chest cam.
No, he's leading him into the woods. No camera. Jay has a camera.
Exactly. Jay has a camera. This is the full version of entry
38.
38, the spooky ghost story
right.
entry. And it was Alex saying, come to the woods, I want to show you something. And he confronts Jay and asks if he stole anything else. He wants to know if Jay has access to his apartment. And Jay lies. He's like, I don't know where your key is, I don't have your key. I don't know why. I think Alex knows, right?
Why would he ask?
He knows that Jay has the key. Why would he ask? He knows. And I think he was probably going to kill him. I don't know. I think he was going to kill him here, and then he decided not to.
It seemed like he was.
Because we get the footage after Jay fixes the camera. He puts another tape in the camera, and Jay's like, "Can we just come back another time? It's getting dark." And Alex is like, "Okay."
Bring Jessica next time.
Yeah. Which is code for I'm going to kill her too.
Let's tie up all the loose ends at once.
Yes. Speaking of, entry 51 is the tape. In entry 51, Jay successfully steals the tape that Alex has been hiding from him. Why didn't Alex just destroy the tape?
I don't know.
Can he not destroy the tape? They've got a lot of stuff to play with here. They'd be like, because of the mythology of this thing, be like, well, the operator has made it so they can't destroy the tapes. Same thing with the season 1, right? He had all those tapes, and he said, well, I want to burn them, but instead he gives them to Jay.
Yeah, why?
Why?
They're just full of incriminating evidence.
They're full of evidence. They're creepy. Why? Why does he not destroy it? Why does he keep it next to his bed? Ugh, weirdo. Do you think he watches them? Is he sick and he watches the stuff that he did? I don't know.
So
it's original Marble Hornets.
This is original footage from Marble Hornets. One of their awesome actors, Brian.
Here's it was filmed 2 years after the original Marble Hornets, so there wasn't anything they could do. The actor who plays Brian has lost weight. It visibly lost weight, like he has a more chiseled chin than he did in the previous one, which I found distracting.
A little continuity situation going on.
Yeah, whatever. There's nothing they can do. I mean, it's supposed to take place a long time ago, and he doesn't look the same.
Just buy it.
Okay. I'm trying. This one, I just kind of stopped taking notes and just watched this one. It's pretty cool. They find... Alex says that he and Seth found this location, but Seth is feeling sick, so he didn't come.
Where's Seth?
Alex killed Seth in the basement.
Seth is gone. Seth is gone.
So I think that Seth was lured to that basement area by Alex, and the operator took him. We come to this burnt-out hospital, whatever, or doctor's office thing. Alex is filming. He keeps saying... Brian is sensible and it's like, why are we here? We shouldn't be here. What? And then he says, like, what are you filming? And Alex says, B-roll. And
B-roll.
I'm like, B-roll? For what? What does that mean? What does that mean? Brian just buys it because he's an actor. He doesn't know anything about making movies. But it's like, what? B-roll? And Alex has some throwaway line like, yeah, I'm just going to put like music over this or something. Just whatever. It's like, what?
Half of his movie is a montage of nothing.
So they go a couple different places in this building. They end up in a long hallway. The operator likes long hallways. He's filming Brian in the foreground. The operator shows up behind him, and then chaos ensues. And Brian kind of leads us through this building, trying to find Alex.
And he finds someone he didn't seem to expect to find. Did we know that Tim was here?
No. No idea. Tim looks like he's been here for a while.
He's
and maybe
got a
this ties into
blanket over his legs.
Is it a blanket or was it his jacket?
Oh, was it?
I thought it was his beige jacket.
It kind of looked like he was like sleeping there until Brian found him.
Yeah. He was coughing. He looks like he's been there for a while. He looks haggard, to say the least. He's like, Tim, what are you doing here? He turns around. The operator's in the door. Camera falls to the ground, and we see someone's body being dragged off. Is it obvious whose body it was?
It's Brian's. It matches his shirt.
So Brian gets dragged off. That's not good either.
No.
No.
Then Jay is nice enough to give us a little refresher on Tim's or Alex's admission that everyone is gone from way back when.
Yes. It is necessary to set up 52. He needs to remind Jay saying, I wonder if what Alex is doing, he's just trying to tie up loose ends. Is the filmmakers also trying to tie up loose ends? They're like, hey, remember all this stuff? Gotta remind you of that because something's gonna happen.
We're working on it.
Like, hey, all this stuff happened. We're gonna deal with that. They didn't address what happened to Tim. Don't know what happened to Tim. He escaped somehow, presumably because he's still around.
Yeah, I think Tim has a larger hand in his own fate than a lot of these people do.
Yeah, because Tim is Tim. Tim's masky. I mean, whether he knows it or not, he is active. He's engaging with this in this fight. So now, and Jay says like Alex. He doesn't know, but he says Alex probably just made these people. He probably dragged these people to this location just to off them, like he, like he. I think he's doing with me. He's a bad guy. Scary stuff. And then we get the final entry.
Entry 52 is where I originally came in. Because I found out about Marble Hornets like sometime late last year, and I went to their page, and this is the video that had been sitting there. And I probably last November or December watched the first several minutes of this and was just like, what am I watching? I watched like probably the first 4 minutes, and I was just like, I don't understand. And then I saw this guy in a mask, and that was when I was like, okay, I obviously cannot start this right here.
Yeah.
That was when I stopped it, and I was like, no.
No. Must watch all the previous stuff. It's much more rewarding if you've watched all the previous stuff, too.
Yes.
So Jay has one of these great lines. It's abundantly clear that I shouldn't be trusting him right now. Now it's clear? Jay? I think it's been clear for months.
I think people have been telling him on Twitter that he shouldn't.
I mean, and then he calls it a confession. He says to he records himself in his car before he and Jessica go to the woods. They've agreed to go to the woods with Alex. He says, I wish I hadn't dragged Jessica into this. I'm actually pretty bummed out about this whole thing. I think Alex is going to try and kill us, basically. If I don't come back, hey, that's what happened. So they walk through the woods, and Jessica says the same thing that Jay said when he went out with Alex. She hears footsteps behind her. They both are on the trail. They've heard footsteps behind them. Mm-hmm. What do you think that is? The operator doesn't make footsteps.
No.
That's not related. No.
It's Hoodie.
Could be Hoodie. I think that there's some. Tim might be able to teleport, so maybe he was behind them and then teleported away. I don't know. It's not the operator though.
I think it's safe to say it is one of the twins.
It's probably one of the twins. Probably.
I like that having that name.
The twins. Yeah, that's good. I like that better than Masky and Hoodie, but whatever. Uh, I'm sure you noticed this because have you been downloading all of them and watching like through the frames?
No. I've,
No.
I've been able to curb my enthusiasm for that.
You still probably noticed it. You can actually see when they walk up to that little building, you can see Tim for a couple frames peek out from that big open.
Hello,
thing.
I'm here.
It's like, I'm here, and you're like, oh, so we've got all of our principal characters. So something big has to happen. All of them, they've never all been at the same place at the same time. And Hoodie's there probably too. Alaska can come too. So Alex leads them into this building, goes upstairs, and he says, the thing that I don't know if I think we forgot to mention this. He claims to Jay and Jessica there's something related to Amy, and I found it in the woods. And he says the thing I'm talking about, it's over in the corner up here. Go over there. I don't want to look at it again. Go over there so that
Jay's like, I've got a camera in my hand. I don't have to walk over there to see that. And he like starts panning. And he's like, where? It's over there.
Right. So you go over there.
Get a little closer.
It's just it's sort of like one of those the bad guy, the hero isn't quite on the plate that's going to drop out and have the good guy fall into the tank. So it's like
he's
move a little to the left, a
standing
little
on
to
the
the left.
trapdoor.
No, he's exactly. So they go over there, and I think Jessica turns around first, and they turn around. Alex has a gun.
Finally.
And I mean, this is the first real weapon we've seen in Marble Hornets, so they saved it for the big finish. Which I think is smart, because you don't want these characters running around with guns. No. I think that would ruin.
I think they're all way too jumpy to carry guns, let alone the fact that it would add so much to the finality of the story.
Yeah. So he is just going off on them, and I think Jessica, one of the Jessica or Jay says like, "Oh my God, are you gonna kill us?" And he doesn't say he's not gonna kill him. He's like, "You've been following me. You've been posting these videos on YouTube, you've ruined my life, I hate you both." And as he is launching in this tirade and probably about to kill them, Tim is slowly sneaking up behind him. It's an awesome little moment, and tackles him. Tim to the rescue.
Thanks, Masky.
Tim's the good guy. He's the good guy.
Well, he definitely doesn't like Alex.
I think. No. Well, I mean, yeah. So I don't. Good guy, maybe not. But I think that if you wound back into season 1, you'd probably say Alex is probably a good person, Masky is probably a bad person. And now it's like, no, Alex is really a bad person, and Masky is maybe a good person. It's one of those things about writing where you challenge people's expectations and it makes things good.
Yeah.
Characters change over time, and your opinion of them changes as you learn more things about them. This is one of the... People can learn a lot about storytelling by watching Marble Hornets. It's just really, especially season 2. Season 1, maybe not. Season 2, very good story.
Yeah.
Where was the operator?
I don't know.
Why didn't he come to Alex's rescue?
That's an excellent question. He doesn't like barns.
Maybe. There's no visual tearing. He was not there. He was not there. So, quick on the spot theory. The operator he wanted to be fed when Alex brought Jay to the woods, and Alex had a moment of hesitation because it's Jay and he has this relationship with him, and he let him go. And the operator was like, hey, dude, I told you that I wanted someone, and you let him go, so now I want 2 people. And I'm not going to help you out because I'm angry at you. I don't know.
He's just waiting for the bodies to show up.
Or the operator is also working with him. And he's like, I'm not going to take sides. You guys got to figure this out on your own.
I can imagine the operator saying that, right?
Right.
Hey, guys.
With his, hey, guys, chill. I don't know. I don't know why he wasn't there, and I have no good explanation, and they didn't provide an explanation in the story. So either they're going to provide one in the 3rd season, or it was an oversight. It's either a plot hole or it's not a plot hole. This is the moment. This is one of those cool moments where all of the things from the very first episodes fall into place. Jay and Jessica run. Jay steals all the stuff from Alex's car, steals the chest cam. That's why he's got the chest cam. They meet at the hotel. They decide
the safe combination.
They decide their safe word. Um, uh, everything falls into place, and Jay says, "Let's just wait in our rooms and we'll figure stuff out tomorrow." Well, the operator has other intentions. He's not going to let them wait until tomorrow.
They can't wait till tomorrow.
So the operator wiped their minds somehow. It's pretty creepy too. They have one of those shots of Jay just like looking up that reminds me of the To the Ark entry from way, way back in season 1 when the operator comes through the hallway. He's just like, looking up. Wipes their minds. But not the tapes.
But not...
Can he not wipe the tapes?
I don't know. He doesn't seem to have control. I mean, just the fact that being on tape stops him in place seems like there are things about being on camera that he can't, that really impede his ability to affect things.
I'm just going to throw it out there, but that sort of reminds me of how Alex described the trials being before God. But I don't have a
it's putting him on trial before us.
So, I don't know. Didn't wipe the tapes. It's either he can't or conveniently didn't. Jay now knows everything. He knows that Alex is a murderer. He knows that Tim is doing something.
Acting against Alex, at the very least.
He knows, yes, that Alex is a bad guy and that he may have an ally in Tim. Whether Tim can be trusted or not. He knows his relationship with Jessica, he now knows why they were together. And he knows that his memory was erased. And he decides, if I can find Alex, if Alex is alive, I'm going to find him. He doesn't say what he's going to do with Alex, but he says, I'm going to find him.
He's going to bring him to justice.
So this is one of those, this is the Empire Strikes Back of Marble Hornets, right?
Yeah.
Alex is gone. We don't know what's going on with Tim. Jessica is missing. What's going on with Amy? And our main character, our hero, has gone through a life-changing, process, and he now has a mission
He's having
to accomplish in the next. Yes, he understands now, and because of his understanding, he can go boldly into the next episode and bring the events to a conclusion. So. But there is a little... I keep saying coda. I don't know why I'm obsessed with that word. There is a little epilogue. It's a season 3 tease, if you will. A little epilogue. Jay gets smart, says, Alex went to Rosswood Park a lot, but he also was in that town, and he never left the town. Maybe there are clues in the town. I shall go investigate. And he says, and what did I find in the town while I was looking around? But Tim! Looking and acting normal, I shall investigate further. And that is how the season ends. Jay will return in season 3 of Marble Hornets.
After a 4-month silence.
Yes.
Somewhat active on Twitter, but no videos for 4 months.
Any final thoughts about season 2 or Marble Hornets generally before we wrap up?
It's impossible for me to do it without bringing in what I already know from season 3.
Yes, you're gonna have to wait just one more week. Yeah, I remember when I got to the end of this. I watched this in December of last year. I was just like so amped up for season 3. They had pulled me in so much that I was just, oh no, they don't have season 3. And now I follow Jay on Twitter, the Marble Hornets account, and you're right. The silence in between season 1 and season 2 was very silent. He basically didn't post anything Twitter. And up until season 3, he didn't post much on Twitter. He usually just said, I posted a new video, there was a To the Ark response, couple things here and there. When we get to the break between season 2 and season 3, he's posting a lot of stuff on Twitter at that point. He basically fills in the gap between season 2 and season 3 with Twitter.
Well, isn't that smart?
Yes.
I'm looking at it and
don't worry.
Marketing.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's smart. And also, it was a smarter strategy than Everyman Hybrid, where whole bits of content are in a different medium. Jay tweeted all this stuff to tease people and, get people, let them know about the story and keep them following during the break. But the very first episode of Marble Hornets summarizes everything that he did on Twitter.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go to the Twitter. You can watch the first episode of the third season. He says all the stuff that he said on Twitter.
Very nice.
There's very nice. So smart, these guys. Okay, well, we're wrapping up. Homework next week. Watch everything that's in season 3. We'll send the links, but
they posted the first episode barely a month ago, which is right when we were starting to cover it.
Very convenient, eh?
I swear we didn't have any inside information.
We did not. So we are going to retire the Marble Hornets project, and it's just going to be a regular segment. Whenever there's a new Marble Hornets out, we'll talk about it. But it'll just be,
we won't have
hey, this new one came
half
out.
An hour or 45 minutes worth of discussion anymore. Hopefully.
It'll be a short little quick thing, hopefully. Be a quick thing, summarize the video, what we thought of it, how we think it fits into the rest of the universe, and we'll move on. And that means you have different homework for next week. Homework is watch Cabin in the Woods, because we're going to talk about that. And it's awesome and you should watch it. But
you don't know.
Apparently. I don't know.
You'll know soon enough.
Mm.